How y'all doing? It's Chris from Chris Comments. It's Saturday, September 10th. We had some news take place at a park shooting, and this is more about Greg Abbott and his BS again. But it's a little bit important to bring up here because of the simple fact that it's about operations that he's doing. Okay, despite the fact that he's trying to make himself look good in doing this, but it raises these alarming flags. And for those of you who have been looking at my posts, you'll begin to see why. Because what I'm looking at, when I take a step back and see these things, it's not what's going on for face value. What I'm looking at is the stuff that's sketchy and the stuff that leads up to my conclusions that that nothing but wrongdoing is being done by my Texas governor, Greg Abbott. It's alarming to somebody like me, and I don't mean to be alarming to you guys. However, I still see this as very important. I have to state this on what's going on. Okay? Now I'm going to start with an incident that took place in Uvalde. For those of you who remember where that school shooting took place, a shooting in Uvalde Memorial Park took place on the weekend, last weekend, and was considered to be gang-related. It was a gang-related shooting. Okay. Governor Greg Abbott made a post. I was outraged to learn that gun violence has endangered the Uvalde community and innocent Texans this evening. You know, of course, somebody like me who hears him say I was outraged, I call bull crap. I call BS. I don't think he was not only not outraged, he was just, thinking, how can I make this for myself to look good? And out of all the damn things that this guy is gonna do, okay, out of all the stupid things, and it is just so typical coming from this guy, his actions are to direct the DPS, Department of Public Safety troops, to conduct a patrol operations in areas of Uvalde known for gang activity. He wants an additional 6 DPS trooper units to work around the clock and coordinate with anti-gang efforts within the city. Now, I'm not going to say that there isn't a gang unit in Texas, anywhere in Texas. There are. I'm not going to say that there isn't any in Uvalde, because remember, it wasn't so much a gang member that did this, was much this douchebag to society that did the shooting. The gangs, however, that took place, this gang-related particular shooting that took place at Uvalde Memorial Park, is very clear that there at least should be a gang unit in Uvalde. Sorry for the soft drink. It's just again, it's just hot down here in Texas. But this additional 6 DPS trooper units, the only thing that I see out of all of this, and to work around the clock and coordinate with anti-gang efforts and stuff within the city, the only thing I see of this is the same old bullcrap that's going to be taking place the way it did with Operation Lone Star, making criminals out of people that aren't even doing anything criminal. Operation Lone Star was about securing the border, and you had people being arrested within, outside of 200 miles outside of the border, and they were all Americans, and they were thrown with felony charges against them over misdemeanor crimes. Was someone being a vagrant in a bar and had to get bounced out and a cop called on him? Sure, but that's not a felony. Did a couple get into a fight? Sure. Assault is a felony, but it's not an illegal alien felony, especially when the two are American. Getting caught with 1 loose leaf marijuana in your glove box when you're being pulled over for speeding, yeah, I guess that can be a crime if it's not medicinable. but it's not a felon, much less an illegal alien felon, especially when the woman was an American white woman. There is all that crap that took place under the Operation Lone Star. This is the crap that I'm going to see take place with this anti-gang efforts within the city. Not to say that that's a bad thing, anti-gang efforts, but to do nothing but put troopers out there, instead of what Texas used to do in the old days was having kids after school programs and stuff like that, where they were staying off the streets and everything, and a whole lot of gang shootings decreased, especially once kids started to realize they can live a normal life out here, and not have to resort to gangs to have whatever it is that they want to live, that you have to go to that extremes in order to be king of your own particular hill. This anti-gang efforts with 6 more additional DPS troopers, which of course is going to cost $1 million some dollars, billions and billions and billions and all this other crap. It's not going to do anything. People are going to get arrested and they're not even going to be gang members, and I can predict this. I can very much predict this, given the track record of my governor, who's done this kind of garbage through Operation Lone Star. I can stand. Nothing has proven me wrong. Nothing has proven my prediction wrong. But yeah, that's the first subject of the worthlessness that Greg Abbott is doing. And get this, the majority of you out there are thinking it's okay because 6 more additional DPS trooper units, you think you feel safe. You believe you're now safer. It's all about the money. Belief is the tool. It's all in our tax-paying dollars, millions, and you're going to believe it's worth it. Next subject. Police have to explain why a threat led to a massive New Braunfels High School lockdown. Okay, New Braunfels police got notified of a possible threat, which was later determined not credible. Tons of authorities arrived. Large amounts of blood from the blood bank was brought over to the area. Media claims the town was shook to its core. The comment section of that report, that very same report from the media, and I'm not gonna mention that. I'm just gonna say that the comment section of that said the New Braunfels citizens says that's a false claim, and they just bashed the media left and right on that thing. The announcer tried to grab our attention by saying New Braunfels High School was shook to its core because of a possible threat. And everybody actually said they were taking things calmly. Were there a couple of nervous people? Yeah. But that's usually what to expect when your school is surrounded by a bunch of cops. They're calling their parents saying, you need to come get your kid. And you got a large supply of blood from a blood bank being brought to on site, and they're all saying, just in case. All the authorities are saying, just in case. Now, why this went on? Well, nobody's really claiming why. Nobody's saying what gave the cops permission to do that yet. But I can tell you, as well as everybody that's been listening to me can tell you, from as far back as June, when Abbott did the initiative to conduct intruder tests at public schools, he was even requiring like secret safety checks, and that's aside from the people that were getting frisked before they got into the school to pick up their kid. They had to get searched, body search, cavity search. I don't know what kind of search, but according to the parents, they had to get checked. They had to get frisked before going in to claim their kid. In June of this year, back in June, this is what Greg Abbott was talking about when he said he wants to have an initiative to conduct intruder tests. Okay? To conduct intruder tests like the secret safety checks. Okay? Secret safety checks and, a whole mess of stuff like this. He made this initiative a small while back to ensure that the meetings are done and to make sure that the reviewed proper procedures and everybody's trained to handle it. Okay, here we go. To ensure all staff and subs are trained on the procedures and drilled. So this was a practice drill that was going on that, according to the media, shook people to the core. Okay? This was the waste of tax-paying dollars that I was talking about as far back as June. And I truly do not believe I'm the only one. At the time, I didn't have a clue as to where to search in order to find what people were saying at the time. I didn't know which podcast, I didn't know which commentator and opinionmentist was saying what I'm saying, So for those of you that know stuff about this also, by all means, please post your voice. If you could, go to the email section of this and send me a copy or just, type out I agree or don't agree or whatever, that I think this is the way things are going and this is the procedure and all that. But geez, please try not to mudsling and please try not to say rhetoric any more than I want you to go off of some BS. This is baby killing. It's all to brainwash the kids and lead to killing babies and all this. No, dude, stop with that crap. This is all about the money. Belief is the tool. Millions of dollars are going to go to these drills and these practices and all this stuff, and it's going to cost us of our tax-paying dollars. To top it all off, it's going to cost the waste of resources. After all, how long can pouches of blood that was drawn from blood banks, how long can it actually last from the fridge to the cooler? Okay? And then taken out on site. Okay? They were preserved in pouches in a refrigerator in a building where it could be done. How long is that supposed to last? Excuse me. Sorry, burping. How long does that stay solid? How long does that supposed to be able to last? Because I know once you take it from the blood bank to the location where an actual disaster is taking place, well then yeah, the blood can still be used. But these guys are putting them out, putting them in coolers, taking them to a location, and then standing around filling out the reports and then taking it back to the refrigerator, where they're going to be pulling them out of that very same cooler and putting them back onto the shelves. Is that safe? How long does blood actually last as pure blood, non-contaminated, non-anything? Is that okay? I'm not really sure that it is. I don't want to see that blood go to waste. Why in the world would you pull it out and put it into a cooler for a drilling exercise? You couldn't pantomime that? And I don't even approve of these drills where you're disrupting everybody and causing problems. That's no different than that media person claiming that everybody was shook to the core. That kind of stuff is alarming. All I'm looking at right now is stressed out parents because of a drill who also finished their interviews saying, I feel safer because of the fact that they're doing these exercises, despite the fact that their hearts almost stopped when they were told you got to pick up your kid, for a possible threat, due to a possible threat. Dude, That's upsetting to a person. It's upsetting to me, and I'm not even a dad. I'm not even a parent. So can you imagine the ones with actual kids? You know? So, yeah, I mean, this is all hype, and it's messed up. And as far as I can tell, it's a waste of resources, you know? I mean, unless there's some assurance that they're not ruining the blood, you know, there really shouldn't be any reason to do that. Their focus, in accordance to that initiative to conduct intruder tests, is to make the school's premises safe and comfortable. Except it doesn't make anyone safe, much less comfortable. Once an actual threat is done, you're not feeling safe, much less comfortable. Once you told your kid needs to get picked up from a school due to possible threats, you're not safe. You don't feel safe, and you don't feel comfortable. I seriously doubt there's going to be someone strolling to the house, strolling from their house or from work. You know, okay, yeah, I'll be there. You know, that's comfort. That's comfort. Your kid might be in danger. That's not comfortable, dude. The repercussions is one of those. That's one of the repercussions to this. Another repercussion is the cost. Okay? The immediate beginning to work with the office of Texas Governor's Office and determine the funding necessary in a letter to Texas Secretary of Education, I think. Texas School Safety Center, I'm sorry. In a letter to the Texas School Safety Center from Gov Abbott, you have my full support, which we all know what that means. He's just going to be making more and more lawsuits to President Biden, the way he did for the border wall with the help of Operation Lone Star, under the Operation Lone Star program. You know, another is, again, the drilling inspections and all that. Instructing school districts to identify actions that they can take prior to the start of the new school year that will make the campuses more secure. Okay. Secret safety checks. Like what? You know? Secret safety checks. Honestly, this was more of a surprise drill as opposed to a secret safety check. And I think secret safety check is pretty scary, because if you got them going this far, you know they're going to have something like a test where an actor is going to be paid to be an intruder, you know. And let's say they actually hire an actual sex offender, you know. Or let's say they don't. Let's say they hire a sex offender, an actor, to pose as an intruder. The next intruder that you think is an actor posing could be an actual sex offender. It's a catch-22 doing this kind of stuff. You know there's con artists out there. You know there's con men. And they all want to look like they're out to help you when they're doing more harm than good. So as far as the secret tests and the secret checks and conducting surprise tests and all this stuff, it's doing nothing but raise blood pressures. You know, it's doing nothing but raise blood pressure, and that's using fake criminal tests, criminal threats. Okay. Actual threats, like these gang-related shootings in Uvalde is Greg Abbott's handling of that is the same way that he handles immigration with Operation Lone Star at the border. Actually, not at the border, but inside the rest of the state, making Americans into criminals, charging them with felony counts of crimes that are not only not happening, not only misinterpreted, but they're just plain not happening. A lady was caught with one loose leaf of marijuana. She is an illegal alien drug smuggler. That was the felony charge that was thrown on her. She was pulled over for speeding. She was supposed to get a ticket. She was an American white woman, for crying out loud. One loose leaf of marijuana in her glove box to top it all off. It wasn't even in her hand. She wasn't doping it. She wasn't doping up while behind the wheel. But those kinds of false claims is what's to be expected now that 6 more additional DPS trooper units are placed into Uvalde in coordination with anti-gang efforts. This means that anybody with a backwards cap or baggy pants all over again, just like the 1990s, are going to be pulled over, stopped and frisked, and thrown into jail for felony charges, against them. That's all that's going to be happening. This is what's going on with this worthless governor of ours. Okay? And I hate to bring that up again because I was doing great with that quiet quitting, quiet firing social issue. But this governor of ours, this governor of mine just doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want to stop with this BS in an effort to make himself look good, ergo make you believe that you're better off with him while raking in the dough with all these abuses. It's wrong. It's wrong. And we need to vote this fool out. We need to vote out Patrick. We need to vote out Ted Cruz. We need to vote out everybody that's on his side because they're backing him up with these decisions and supporting him all the way while getting their fair share of cash out of our, not just our tax-paying dollars, but out of the federal level of the infrastructure bills and plans and all this good stuff brought on through the presidential administration. It's irrelevant that it's brought up by Biden. This is lawsuit abuse. You understand? It doesn't matter who's the president. My governor is performing lawsuit abuse. It doesn't matter what the president is or isn't in charge of or how much the president has done. Everything that Governor Greg Abbott is doing that's abusing his power is done out of our state-funded taxes. It's taken out of our local state taxes. Okay? And it's wrong. This is the reason why I have to keep venting out. This is the reason why I keep having to voice my concern. Whether anybody out there listens to me or not, this is the perfect outlet to bring all of this stuff up. This is the perfect way to get my voice heard. And I hope all of you out there do the same. Because somewhere down the line, you're connecting these same dots. You're taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture. You yourself are doing that. And you're more than likely getting more information than what I could do. I have to do my own research. Okay? I'm not a journalist. I don't have a team. I'm a rideshare driver. This is it. I'm just voicing my concern. Everything that you're seeing is pretty much how I put my smarts to use, so to say. And it's mostly off of intuition and theory thinking. Okay? Gut feelings and theoretical thinkings. Okay? Because I can claim waste of tax-paying dollars, but I have no access, no authority, no capable of going around the bush like an actual journalist does in order to connect the dot is to proving where those tax-paying dollars are going, which is far more difficult to give them credit. It's way more difficult for actual journalists and investigative journalists to figure out, despite the fact that they're way up there. I'm connecting dots, sure, but it's still very, very amateur by comparison to these guys that you're watching on the net and on television, who are actually looking up the stuff, and if not possibly getting permissions and stuff to see what they're doing, And even if they're not, it's most of these guys have a writing team, where they can actually piece this stuff together, and it goes all the way down to televisions like Stephen Colbert and Stephen Colbert and John, Jimmy Kimmel and all them, where they have a writing team that looks all of the facts and reads all of the articles and looks at what people are saying and all this other stuff and piece together everything to show and explain what's going on in the news. Everybody out in the world right now is seeing shooting at Uvalde Park, and they're looking at governor saying, I'm outraged, and saying, I'm doing this about it. And that's good enough for everybody around the world. Here in Texas, however, here in Texas, the majority of my state, it's good enough as well. In fact, they're praising the governor for this lousy BS. Few of us that are taking a step back and looking at it, we can see the bigger picture. The cops notified of possible threats, despite the fact that it was determined to be non-credible. Tons of authorities arrived. Large amounts of blood from the blood bank arrived. It's just a branch. Those of us that are looking at it, who have been paying attention to who's pulling the strings, in this case, Governor Abbott, this is all a drilling exercise as conducted by the Initiative to Conduct Intruder Tests, declared back in June. We see this. This is what we see. The rest of my Texas, however, the majority, to top it all off, the majority of my Texas, however, thinks, damn, that's good. Abbott is taking care of business. Not quite, no. No, because he's already had emergency response plans before, as far back as 2018. And here we are in 2022, 4 years later, the El Paso shooting takes place, and all that emergency plan stuff was being looked up. It showed it on the video. They were going through the pamphlets trying to read what to do about this stuff, All these emergency plans and tactics and practices were done. And 4 years later, nothing was done, They had all this gear. They had tons of troops. They had DPS, Border Patrol, state troopers, local law enforcement. All of them were there at that school. All of them. All of them were here at this school, at New Braunfels High School. But they're doing all these drills like before, and wasting our tax-paying dollars and possibly our own resources. They're pulling the actual blood out of the blood banks, out of their preservations. That says something, That's a huge show of concern on my end. That alone says that we should be concerned. Conducting secret safety checks. Here's the problem with that. When you get the media taking photos of 4 or 5 different law enforcement agencies surrounding a school, how in the name of God is that secret? Safety checks. Are you sure? Everybody was panicking. According to the media, everybody was shook to the core. Safety. Secret safety checks. Designed to make the school premises safe and comfortable. Fun stuff. And the majority of my Texas believes this. The majority of my Texas is following Greg Abbott, Lieutenant Dan Patrick, Ted Cruz. You know, they're following them and thinking they're safer now. And saying, hell no, I'm not voting for Beto or anybody else. Because they're not the ones using our taxpaying dollars to conduct safety intruder tests. They're not the ones conducting secret safety checks. They're not the ones pulling blood out of the blood bank to non-threats, to non-credible threats. You know, they're not the ones, Beto or anybody else that's against Abbott. They're not the ones putting additional trooper units into areas where gangs exist. In one city, by the way. Just in the city of Uvalde. Nowhere else, just there. All at our taxpayers' expense. The majority of my Texas believes this to be a good thing. So, yeah. Yeah, they're thinking they're safe, and the problem is that it's working. They think that, as far as them thinking that they're safe. So that's the long and the short of it. For a change, it's only about half an hour instead of a whole hour. But yeah, I had to bring this up. I have to keep on. As sure as Abbott is trying to look like this hero when he's not, I have to bring it up, you know. So that's the long and the short of it for right now. As far as that whole, which is a shame because I was doing good with the social issue amongst society, quiet quitting and quiet firing. You know, it's going back to that. I'm still looking at other interviews and other reports and stuff, and there's a lot of them out there that are close or partially correct, I should say. The part where they lose me, where they should lose you, is this whole bizwax about concerns that employees might be cheating themselves out of brand new opportunities if they do not go above and beyond their responsibilities because they're too busy making sure that they only abide by their job descriptions. Okay, that part is dumb. And I'm not trying to spit on them, but it's dumb because there wouldn't be any kind of quiet quitting necessary if you could actually get something out of going above and beyond your normal responsibilities. You understand? I know you understand this, especially you that has taken the time to actually watch this. You're pretty much like me out there, you know. You're actually resorting to quiet quitting as opposed to those experts and reporters and CEOs and everybody that's opposed to it, you know. There wouldn't be a need if these businesses would just actually let us gain the opportunities for going above and beyond. You know, if the businesses would just let us get rewarded for all the extra stuff that we do, you know, but we're not. We're getting neglected. We're getting pay raises refused. We're getting promotions denied. We're getting pay raises that go to the promotions denied. You know, we're not getting what we're supposed to. As I've stated in the last one, 20 years ago, when I was getting, somebody like me was getting it, but I was used to dropping it and quitting after doing quiet quitting. You know, or, you know, quitting, sometimes not even doing quiet quitting, you know, just sticking to this. I'd be this phenomenal worker and then I'd quit because I just didn't like it. But that was me. And at a time where the country could afford that. The country can't afford this now. You know, everybody has to cling on to their jobs. They have to cling on to their jobs, and they have to put up with all the crap that's going on, not just financially, not just through corporate greed, but through crap like the gang shootings that took place over in Uvalde at the memorial where the 21 people were killed. Okay? You all have to hang on to your jobs, you know, despite the fact that you are led to believe that you're safer and all this other crap because of what our governor is doing. And yet at the same time, you're struggling with your bills. You're struggling at the high cost of living because trying to tame the corporation's businesses is something that the governor is not doing. The governor's not putting caps to anything. The governor doesn't have the state treasury looking into how we could financially balance everything out to where Texas can live decently. Instead, what he's doing is having these exercises to possible non-credible threats at our tax-paying dollars. You know, there's no programs. There's nothing to help us. There's no statewide support for the organizations that are the food banks, the housing programs. You know, that's not what our governor here in Texas is not doing. He's not looking at any of that. He's trying to be boss, or at least appear that way, by putting state troopers, by putting trooper units in one city, you know, suing the government and spreading the cheer around. I've already talked about that. $700,000 in one county just to pick up dead bodies, just to pick up dead refugees. You know, it's silly. It's just downright stupid. It's just downright wrong. And that's the reason why I have to point that out. You know, all the way down to the social issue of quiet quitting. You know, everybody is going to their ends to try to get by. And it's all while the leadership is doing this whacked out crap, not looking at society's businesses who are price gouging and price hiking like crazy, which is hurting us. You know, it's hurting everybody out here that has to work for a living. You see what I'm saying? And I do apologize. I just looked at the clock right now. I do apologize for going more than I'm going right into another hour. I'm sorry. I got to stop. I'm going to stop right now. Okay. I'm going to stop. Y'all take care. Y'all take it easy. I don't know what to title this one yet. So I'm going to stop and I'm going to work on the title now. Take care of yourselves. Okay. Keep watching out for yourselves. It's Saturday. And like I said about the lone wolf attackers, gunmen, you know, they're shooting from a distance. So wherever you're at, in whatever place you're in whatever side of town you're on, look around you for hiding spots where you can pull your kids over to one side, or your girlfriend, or your boyfriend, or your husband, or your baby daddy, or the new date, and your kids over to one side that makes you out of view of that sniper, of that gunman. You know, you should really only run frantically if the guy's charging you, the gunman is charging you. Otherwise, he's stationed in an area, or he's at a long enough distance to where once you go out of sight, he's got nobody to kill except for whoever it is that's running, trampling over, you know, their own wife. You know, oh man, I hope my girl didn't get shot while leaving her behind, you know. So you stay safe and pull yourself over to one side, out of vision. Okay, just pull yourself into a place that's out of sight. And that's what I mean by be aware of your surroundings. You know, because it's been a long time since a gunman stood in front of a crowd and sized up people before he started shooting, giving you that telltale sign that the guy's about to shoot you, you know. It's been a long time since the guy with the raincoat on a hot summer's day, you know. That's how you know he's got the shotgun underneath his coat, you know. He's the gunman, you know. It's been a long time since those days. These days they're sneaky, they're quiet, they're lone wolf attackers. So you know, wherever that distance is, you just make sure you stay out of sight and all that. Be aware of your surroundings. Look for the place to duck and hide. Okay? Look for the place that you can duck and hide. Keep your kids safe. Keep your warm safe. Go inside a business if you have to. And if you can, you know, don't lock the door. Let other people run in also. You know. And if a gunman actually follows you in, say a department store or a bar, dude, you've got a fucking chair, you know, knock him out with it, you know. Hell, there was a gunman over in Southeast Texas that shot up a church, and one unarmed churchgoer clocked him one, and that made the gunman run away, you know. Guys, make use of what you got, you know. Don't just make use of your surroundings. Make use of what you got should you be confronted by that gunman. But for the most part, you're not gonna be. They don't really charge these days. They tend to stay a good distance and then run away and try to sneak away and all this other stuff. So, y'all take care. Y'all take it easy. Y'all have a good one. Be careful. Enjoy your Saturday. And have fun. This is Chris with Chris's Comments, signing out.